All right, boss, we're in. How you doing today?
Boss,
Yes,
I didn't know I was hired. I'm good. How are you doing?
you're in.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm in. Is that it? Well, this was fun.
this is fun.
Take care. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. I'll see you next time.
What number episode am
I think you're number 97 or 98.
Couldn't have waited 2 more episodes, could I?
Well, no, so the way I do it is for the 100th episode, I'm going to do a live stream where people can ask me anything. So I'm going to totally turn it around. So I thought like it'd be fun if every 100th episode, number 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever, I just do one by myself.
Yeah.
Because actually that's how I kind of started this whole thing. Like my very first podcast I did on my own, I just kind of wrote down like 50 questions and then just asked myself the questions. And then I started having some guests, and then we started videoing it. So it's kind of been a natural progression.
How long? When was that? How long have you been at this?
So I did a half-hearted start on the podcast audio only in late 2019.
Okay.
And then I did a few more during COVID, audio only.
Yeah.
And then I got back to filming, which was great, which was my first passion. And then I ended up in Dubai for like a few strange years because it was kind of like open and easy to get around from. Yeah. But there was no one really to chat with in Dubai. Like there's no real people in entertainment or people who are doing kind of creative and interesting things. It's a bit of a different vibe. But then I moved to LA like about 10 months ago. And this is when I set this whole studio up, and I've been going like full time at it.
Yeah. Do your listeners and your viewers know that you live in a poshy part of town in a really fancy condo? Is that a secret you're trying to keep? Because I will bust you. This place is really nice.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I wanted to have a place that was
A shitbox, 1 bedroom, rent-controlled place on the beach.
well. That sounds nice. The beach is the beach. I wanted to be in the city center where it was really easy for people to come and meet me. Yeah. So that was really important when I picked a place to stay.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good spot.
Okay. Well, look, this is kind of just all about you. So
So tired of talking about other people.
and where are you from originally?
Oh, I grew up in the state of Indiana.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So I've been reading, I know I do my homework and I know about you. You've been all over the world. Have you ever been to Indiana?
I have never been to Indiana, but now more than ever, I want to go see a Fever game.
Oh, you do? Oh, why? Are they like winning?
Caitlin Clark, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, if I know who Caitlin Clark is, that means she's a big deal in sports because I know nothing.
Well, women's basketball has been amazing forever, and I played Division I basketball in college as well, right? But I played like this might sound strange, but the game that I played is more similar to like the women's game than the men's game.
How so?
Well, the men's game now is just jump over everyone and dunk it, or shoot from like 10 feet behind the 3-point line.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the middle. But back in the day, we played kind of like the way the women play now.
Basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
Basketball. Yeah.
A lot of pick and rolls, a lot of 15-foot jumpers, like, a lot of mid-range shots, like it. So I actually feel more happy sometimes watching the women's game because I can see like their moves and understand what they're doing. Whereas the men's game, the guys are so athletic, which was not my strong suit,
Yeah.
that I don't get how they're doing any of it.
Got it. Well, you had me a pick and roll. I'm still trying to figure out what that is. Probably pick and roll's good. People know what that is.
Yeah, basketball terminology.
I don't know.
Bobby Knight?
Yes, he threw a chair.
What? He threw like 1,000 chairs.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I'm older than you are. I remember I was alive when that happened.
Was alive when that happened too.
No, you weren't.
Bobby Knight was a king in the 80s. Come on.
Yeah.
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 I was around then.
You were? You were born in the 80s.
No, I was born in the 70s.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Late 70s.
That hurts. That hurts.
Okay, but
Yes,
how do you grow up in Indiana and not know basketball?
I do. Well, I know. Yeah, no. And I'm 6'4". It's like my parents like, yes, and then I'm horrible. Just, I'm the little gay kid that wanted to be in the choir. So that's fun.
Okay.
That's fun.
6'4" though.
Damn. Yeah. 6'4". 6'4". So yeah, so then I went to Purdue University. Anyway, so I grew up in Indiana. I think that was the question. And then I moved here about 27 years ago.
Okay, but like how do you logistically, mentally, emotionally go from Indiana to following hopes and dreams and moving to LA? Like what's that transition like?
I was oh my gosh. I became very good friends with a pianist. I play the piano, and she was a mentor to me in the music world. I got to know her. And then turns out she was not married. So she and I ended up I started working with her, managing her. Then we moved. She lived in Minneapolis. I lived in Indiana. She was always in LA. So I ended up here because I was managing her. Then we ended up getting married. And then, we were together 10 years. But to answer your question, that's what got me.
How are you managing a musician living in Indiana?
I love that question as opposed to why are you married to a woman?
No, we can get into that later.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you.
No worries.
I can answer all questions. What was the question?
Question is, how did you end up managing a musical artist living in Indiana?
So I got a pamphlet that she was teaching a master piano class in Cleveland. So that was like 4-hour drive. So I signed up for that class and I went, and because I know of her musicianship and she's an amazing composer and songwriter, so I went there and studied with her for a week, and then we just got to know each other and we stayed in touch, and then one thing led to another, and then she goes like, listen, I'm looking for someone to help manage my career, and I said, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and then we ended up in
That's amazing. So, I mean, like, are your parents musical? Like, where did this desire for music and music instruction come from?
Yeah, they both were. My dad said he sang. I never heard him sing, but he said he did. He went to Notre Dame. He was in the Glee Club.
Okay.
I don't think nobody's asked me these questions ever before, Ryan. I've done a few podcasts in my career.
I like getting like to the bottom of it. Like, I need to know like where you're from and who your parents are.
Let's just get at it.
I mess around a lot, but come on. But I'm just curious about you.
Yeah, they were somewhat musical. My mom enjoyed singing and stuff, so
yeah,
that was that.
That's my biggest regret, actually, is probably not learning a musical instrument when I was young enough to really pick it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, Toronto, Canada.
Oh yeah, I said that you're Canadian.
Yeah, and my childhood was like totally opposite. Like, I just played sports from like the age of 6 to 22, like religiously. Like, I had no free time to pick up the piano or a guitar. My fingers were always broken from basketball or rugby.
Yeah.
Like I always had bruises and stuff. Like, I was just broken all the time. But it was like music just never even showed up on the radar.
No.
Yeah.
Did you take it? Like, did you have to take a class or?
I think I took a class in high school. I had to take one. I think I took like a general band class, and I think I ended up playing like the recorder or the flute. The recorder, the wooden one, right? Yeah.
Well, a lot of recorders are plastic.
Yeah, I think mine original one was plastic.
Yeah. And you grew out of that. You got a wooden recorder. Now, did you play hockey?
Okay, so that's everyone's claim to fame in Canada is playing hockey, but I just was a terrible ice skater.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what happens? Like, the funny thing is, like it's really hard for kids, I think, who are tall to play hockey when they're young, because you end up growing at really strange rates, right? And things grow at different speeds. Anyways, my legs were growing so fast that my legs and ankles were really weak, and I just couldn't skate.
I never thought. I mean, why would I ever even know that? That's interesting.
Yeah. So then I gravitated into basketball, which was a little bit easier on the legs, but then eventually, like, my body filled out and I grew in, and by that stage I was already into basketball. But if I had tried to play hockey, I would have been so far behind everyone else by the time my body caught up that it wouldn't have worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of my best friends in those days were, they played in the NHL. Yeah.
Wow.
A bunch of buddies I went to school with. So they were the real deal. And I always wished I could get in and enjoy it with it. Because back in the day, basketball wasn't very popular in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, the Raptors didn't even become a NBA franchise until like 96 or 97. So from, my entire early days, I was just looking south all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the South, you mean to this country?
The United States of
The
America.
United States. Do you enjoy living? Are you a citizen here?
No, I'm not. So I just have what's an entertainer's visa that I was able to get through all my television work, and but I can't vote or can't do much. But it got me here, and if I like it, I can try to stay longer or do other things.
Yeah.
But I'm really loving it. Like, the people that I get to meet through this podcast who live in the LA area or who come through LA, is mind-boggling. Like, just the amazing people like yourself, like comedians, artists, musicians, actors, directors, producers, like, just wonderful seeing all these people just pursuing their dreams, trying to tell stories. It's amazing.
Well, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to cough.
Yeah.
Can you edit this?
Yeah.
I'm back. You're going to leave that in, aren't you?
Probably. Yeah. I did switch the camera to me though, so I didn't get you coughing.
Gentlemen. I've always said that about you. You're a gentleman. Let's get back to me, because that whole Canadian thing was boring.
That was a real sideshow.
Just kidding. I have a lot of Canadian friends. I used to work for and still do some work with Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, which is Canadian.
Yeah, they did really well.
Yeah,
But I really liked, they transitioned like 10 or 15 years ago where they got out of all these new buildings.
Yeah.
And they just started like buying up or leasing the most historic, beautiful hotels.
Some Fairmont hotels are breathtaking.
Yeah. Have you been to the one at in Banff National Park at Lake Louise?
Yeah,
That's special.
Industrial commercial for, it's now Accor Hotels, but Fairmont at that property.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just amazing. You've been there?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really.
Fairmont's, yeah, a great Canadian brand. Four Seasons as well as Canadian. So we're doing okay. Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling.
You're doing fine. Who else? What other famous?
Jim Carrey, Mike Myers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Martin Short.
That's the one I was thinking about. Don't you? Everybody loves Martin Short. You should get him on your podcast.
I would love to. He's, I think he's in New York doing more of those Only Murders in the Building. But you know what I watched yesterday for the first time in like 20 years? Three Amigos.
Oh, classic. Sitting around that campfire.
It's so good.
Oh, Catherine O'Hara's.
Catherine O'Hara as well, Canadian. And Eugene Levy.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Something stupid. Something good is going on.
Well, I used to watch SCTV, which is where like Eugene Levy, Dan Aykroyd, they all got their start before they went to Saturday Night Live. Like I watched that religiously when I was like 8.
You did? You did?
Yeah.
What about Kids in the Hall? That's all you guys too.
Kids in the Hall I watched all the time. That was huge. And at the same time, Tom Green was coming up and he had his own show on MTV, which was our music station. Yeah. These are blasts from
Freddie
the past.
got fingered.
Freddie got fucking fingered. Yeah.
Oh, so you added. Wasn't that the name of it?
That was the name of it. Yeah, he did a great movie, and he's done a couple others. He comes out every now and then. I think he still does stand up. I think he still like travels around doing stand up, and every now and then he shows up on Joe Rogan's podcast because he's like one of Joe Rogan's oldest friends or something.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did a show with him at the Comedy Store. He showed up. I was in the belly room. You know, they have 3 or 4 stages at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I was in the belly room that night, and he showed up and did a set, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah. It's he likes to talk about how like divorcing Drew Barrymore killed his career. Because you can't like divorce America's sweetheart. These are his words, not mine. You can't divorce America's sweetheart and expect to have a career afterwards.
You might have a point.
Yeah.
You might have a point. Yeah. Well, there's only one America's sweetheart.
There you go.
Oprah Winfrey. Right?
I don't know. She gives away a lot of cars.
She's very generous.
Yeah.
Very generous. Let's get back to
you. So, okay. You're loving music.
So you have no notes. I just want your audience to know you everything you're doing here is from your brain.
Yes.
I love that.
I just want to be on in the moment and live in the moment.
It's improv.
With you. Yeah. Get to know you. You know, I went through your bio a little bit. I saw your stuff on the website, but it didn't really tell me who you were.
No, you really have to, you have to be in person with this.
Yeah. And that's why I don't do Zoom podcasts. It's all face to face. It's all in the studio. Like I really I want to leave this engagement of meeting someone new and chatting with someone. I want to leave with a friend.
I feel like we will.
Yeah.
I feel like I will.
I will.
I hope you will.
Yeah. But when you have a Zoom, it's just so flippant. Like no one gives a shit anymore.
It's true. I agree with that. It was good during the pandemic. It was better than nothing. It kind of saved our ass, didn't it?
Yeah.
No more.
No more. I have people in Beverly Hills that I'm supposed to meet, and they call me the day before and be like, oh, let's not meet face to face. Let's just do a Zoom instead. I'm like, you're a 5-minute walk from my...
Yeah.
Like, when did people not want to like shake hands and like look someone in the eye?
I don't know, but I believe that is an issue in society, and I believe that is one reason why improv, because I'll talk improv all day long, is so important in people's lives, whether you're an actor or not. And that's why one of the reasons why we started improv. Where's the camera? Improv for the people.
Yeah.
Improv4thepeople.com. Yeah. And it's, I think it's a life hack. I think I hope that we don't lose this, right? Because we could.
We're close. And all this virtual reality AI shit is just leading us down that road. Yeah. I love live performance more than anything in this world.
Yeah.
And I think that if that is gone in some way, shape, or form, we've truly lost an art form.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be sad.
Because I make TV shows as well, but the thing I love the most actually is standing up in front of a live audience and walking them through my adventures or telling them what I've learned. I've got pictures and video, and I do like a little one-man show.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it because the questions that come, the Q&A that comes out of the audience, the chance to connect with people who haven't had the chance to like see the things I've seen or done.
Yeah.
That's just the best.
You wouldn't get that without being together.
Yeah.
That's great.
You got to have some stage presence.
You do, and you have that. I'd like to compliment you on your stage presence. You've climbed a few mountains in your life, haven't you?
I have, yeah. We've done some big mountains, and the great thing is that we've made television episodes about all of them. So you know, like I decided from a pretty young age, like we can really do something and really show people what we're doing, right? So I just thought like we should just try to film everything, and I was quite savvy in the early days about getting fundraising and raising money and keeping things independent so that we could manage the process and manage the safety around a lot of the high mountains. But we've climbed Mount Elbrus, which is the highest mountain in Russia. We've climbed Kilimanjaro, which is in Tanzania. We did Aconcagua, which is in Argentina. That's the highest mountain in the Americas. It's about 7,000 meters, like 24,000 feet, 23,000 feet. Yeah. That's a real passion of ours, is to go out and like climb high mountains.
Can I go?
Sure, why not? So in December, in December, I'm taking some people across Death Valley. We're going to do a full walk across.
Don't you? I'll let people go grab a beer.
Well, we'll still have a beer at the end of the day, but it's after 20 miles in the desert.
So wait, so you're going? Yeah, exactly. So you're going to Death Valley.
Death Valley.
And okay, so it's not going to be horribly hot because it's in December, right?
We planned it like that. Yeah.
We're in August.
Well, if we went in August, we actually had an idea of trying to do it in the summer to show like how hot it is, but to do the trekking at night and then to take shelter during the day. But then it didn't work out. So doing it in the winter is good, but also too, December, like the sun goes down at like 4:35, so the days will be super short. So we got some people who are helping us do it. They asked us if we can like move it to April or May, but by then it's already getting too hot.
How many people are going?
Right now, just 3 or 4. So one of my camera guys and a couple friends, but we'll see. November 1 is like our do or die, put the money up or shut up moment. So we got a few weeks for people to bail. I'm going no matter what. So,
Just you.
Yeah. I'm okay by myself.
You are? I'm worried. I'm going to worry about.
Okay. So how do you go from a student at Purdue?
Yeah.
Now, were you studying music in Purdue?
No. I was studying hotel administration.
Okay.
Which I did for about 20 years.
So the musical interest. Yeah. But then it led you to managing an actual artist.
Yeah. No, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
She was wonderful and she still is wonderful. So her name is Jean Cotter, Cotter. She's a fantastically talented singer-songwriter, recording artist. She lives in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay.
Now, so that's what got me to LA. And then I was still in the hotel business. Then I was managing her. So I dipped out of hotels for a few years and then I went back and I worked for Fairmont Hotels.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a couple others. I opened the London West Hollywood.
Oh, that's a beautiful property.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It really is nice.
They have a nice little rooftop bar, like restaurant in that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So then about, I don't know, look, I said about, that's because I'm sitting near you. About the process is all about.
How the hell do you go from like managing other artists to improv?
This is what I just did.
No, you're just making fun of another white Canadian. You have not offended me.
Good. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So no, I was okay. So when I was working with her, she would be in concert in a different city in the United States, sometimes Canada, on the weekends. And so we were never home on the weekends. I had just moved here, but I had never been anywhere in LA on the weekend because I was always gone.
Mm-hmm.
First weekend she wasn't booked. We're like, well, what do we do? So we opened up the LA Weekly, if anyone remembers that, a newspaper that you hold in your hand. And I dropped my finger and it said, oh, an improv show. Was that stand-up? I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. So we went. I loved it. Wasn't stand-up. It's like, whose line is it anyway? That kind of audience yells stuff out. And then these talented people.
Now, is this the Groundlings who are very famous?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like the fact that the Groundlings are here in LA and that they bring in amazing talent and then puts them on a global, a national stage. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great place. So I love that show. And then I started taking classes there and, it's just been a part of my life ever since. And 16 years ago, I was in hotels and always talking about improv, either my class at the Groundlings or anywhere, because I used to go see shows all over town. And a couple of my friends were like, you always talk about improv and how much you love it. Why don't you teach me some fundamentals? So I said, okay, I'll have a class. And I had completed my studies at the Groundlings. And so this was after that. So I devised some curriculum, and I was talking to a friend. I was in New York to see a friend. And I said, listen, I'm going to start an improv class. What do I call it? And he said, it was eating a sandwich. He goes, I take yoga for the people. We should call it improv for the people. So that was my impression of Adam. And so I said, that's a good idea. So Improv for the People was born 16 years ago. We had one class, 2 students. We called them members, 2 members. The next week was 3 members, and then it was 6, and then it was blah, 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 blah. So 16 years later, we have a faculty of 6 of us and 10 classes a week and shows, and we have our own podcasts and corporate trainings. A lot of companies bring Improv for the People in for team builders and corporate training. So that's an arm of our business. Celebrities drop in and play with us. So it's a really fun, thriving monster of a place.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And you built it from scratch.
Well, yeah, I was kind of at the encouragement of a few people around me that wanted to learn.
Did you have to kill anyone to start this?
Let's move on.
Okay, well, we're going to skip that.
Yeah. We could just edit that. I got real uncomfortable.
Yeah. Feeling triggered?
I feel a little triggered. You mentioned Scotch earlier. So we've been at it ever since. We made it through the pandemic. We've never taken a break, and it's a really exciting place to be. And we definitely have our share of actors, but we believe that improv is for everybody. So it's a lot of people join for different reasons. And I ask every person that joins IFTP why they're there. And the answers are anywhere from, I want to hone my writing skills or performance skills because I am a comedian and an actor, or I'm shy and I'm a 21-year-old guy and I can't be around women because I get tripped up and I get nervous around them. I've heard that a few times.
That's my problem.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why don't you should take a class?
I would love to.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing tonight?
I'm going with you.
7 to 9:30. Improv for the People.
There you go.
Yeah. So and there's a lot of reasons why I give a lot of talks at work. I get nervous. My boss sent me here because they know I know my stuff. I get nervous in presentations. I want to do it for fun. I want to meet people. I want to collaborate. I'm sitting behind a desk all day at a computer or a device. I need human connection. All of those answers we hear and others. So.
Okay, I need to walk this back a bit. You said you finished your training at the Groundlings. So what kind of training or education did you receive at the Groundlings?
So it's fenomenal. Their classes were, and I assume still are, just excellent.
It's just down on Melrose, right?
Yeah. And the training there it's intense. This is my experience. I feel like I can speak from my experience because the training is intense, and people there are very driven and they serious about their careers, and that's good. I hope the Groundlings is there forever. The Groundlings is an institution, and they do a lot of good in our industry.
Absolutely, yeah. And they feed Saturday Night Live with some of the best.
Yes, this interview is about Improv for the People. So if we could I'm just kidding you, right?
I'm just so curious though that you did this training with the Groundlings and then were so kind of absorbed by it, you set up your own improv studio.
I think there was people around because I would just not shut up about it. It's like I nerd out about this stuff.
Yeah, it's the only thing worth nerding out about.
I think
live performance is the best,
right?
Yeah.
Do you perform? Like, I know you do television, all that, but do you do comedy? Do you act?
So I do my little one man show stand up, but it's not like stand up comedy. It's like a one man show about my adventures all around the world, and I use pictures and video, and I drink while I do it, and we have a Q&A and it's really like a lot of crowd work and back and forth, and it's really light and quite fun. But people find it amazing that there are all these countries in the world that they've never been to, but I've filmed in all of them and have these great stories. Like they can be, how hard is it to squat at 22,000 feet and take a dump, right? That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best, man.
Is it?
No, it's so hard because you're at such an altitude and you just get so lightheaded so fast. So squatting is like impossible at that altitude. You got to lean up against a rock.
Oh, see.
Yeah. Have something on your back.
Right. These are questions people want to know, but they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Do you just offer that, or do you wait for someone to ask it?
I offer it sometimes.
Yes. I want to see your show. I want to see this.
Yeah. I haven't recorded it ever. Because I was mainly doing it with for corporate partners like all around the world. Like they would Fortune 500 companies, they bring you in. Some of them want you to talk about business and team leadership and blah blah blah. But some of them just want you to fucking go crazy and talk about your greatest adventure and how it changed your life.
You're keynoting. Is that what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's great.
But I'd love to take that into like a one-man show and tour it around the United States, because I feel like people just don't get that perspective. Like they get stand-up, they get a lot of stand-up and a lot of great stand-up.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of musicians. But then, there's some in-between space that's also kind of available.
I also play in that in-between space because companies will bring me in for, like I mentioned earlier, the team building stuff, but also, when I give talks, they're different because I engage the audience. I have them do improv exercises, like, okay, turn to the person next to you. This is what we're going to do. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I lost my train of thought other than I get all excited about the improv. Oh, I was going to tell you.
You just said you were nerding out on all the...
Yeah, so people around me were, because I kept talking about it, they got caught up, I think, said, I want to work with you. And so, I came up with some curriculum that was, I think fun and good. And we, 16 years later, we're still developing long form, short form, all kinds of, if we even do some what we call medium form things. We have a show called Agatha Christie Unscripted, which has a complete set. It's like an old British mansion, and it's a murder mystery. Excuse me. It's a murder mystery, completely improvised from beginning to end, and it's hysterical. So, and everything in between. We'll do short form shows, and anyway, I think the people around me were like getting caught up, so they're encouraging me to do this, and I'm glad they did because, it's a big.
Well, that's amazing that you went to train at the Groundlings and then the people around you were so excited because you were chatting it up so much that you became entrepreneurial about it and then created your own space.
Yeah.
Like, because that's just going to improv is one thing, right? Because you just pay and then you go and you learn and you're surrounded by other creative people and you get enjoyment from that. But you're like, no, like we're going to create our own platform.
Well, part of that is because, I don't know, I don't speak for the Groundlings because they, it's not my place to do that. But I will tell you that they had, when I was there, it may still be the same, I don't know. But when I was there in the 90s, early 2000s, you could
It's best years.
Yeah, exactly. It's a couple of things happen after you take one of their levels of classes. Either you're passed to the next level by your instructor, or you repeat the level, or you're asked to leave the program. And I did very well. I got through the advanced writers lab, and then at that point I was asked to leave the program. So had I not been asked to leave the program, and they probably were right to ask me to leave the program, but they had their reasons. That's fine.
You're too funny.
I'm sure that's what it was. Yeah. For whatever reason. So, but I still needed improv in my life, right? I'm like, now what do I do? So then, that was the impetus for maybe one of them for I have to.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I still go to the ground. I love going over there for shows, and Groundlings people come to our shows, and sometimes some of their stars will guest on our main company shows, and they've had me a guest at their show. So it's a real, I have great respect for them, and I feel like they do for us. So it's a good, there's enough.
So what's it been like 16 years kind of steering your own ship?
Well, it's a lot of work, and yes, it may have been my initial idea to start Improv for the People, but it takes a village to make Improv for the People happen. Number one is our members who keep showing up. Do
you want me to talk to them? I can get rid of them for you.
Can we? I have a few names. I have just a few names.
Just a few bastards out there.
How dare these people keep coming in?
This one guy, Pyle.
Oh, did you say Pyle?
Yeah.
Oh my God, have you met him?
That's my last name too.
Oh, Pyle. So yeah, right.
Yeah.
Pyle. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So it may have been my idea, but it takes everybody to make it happen. And the faculty is great. They, we have the best improv instructors, and it's a real joy. It's a lot of work, but it's, as you know, your passion is a lot of work, but it's great joy.
Being expressive like that in front of a group of peers, I don't think there's anything that rivals that.
No.
I mean, okay, so like you want to set up improv for the people, right? So you need to have some members, some students, some people who want to study with you. You guys are the experts. You create a curriculum. So that's one channel, right? And then based on those members and students, you guys are also doing some performances.
Yeah.
And then like what other things do you guys do? Like you mentioned you go out to some companies or you do some team building. That's really cool because I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
So
You mean to attract people to us?
to attract people to you or just perform, or like what other things do you guys do?
So the nuts and bolts of the studio are the classes, and there we have 8 to 10 classes a week. Okay, and our classes have 12, 13, 14 people in them each. So that's the nuts and bolts. So then we have shows. Some of our up and comers, when they're ready for a show, they're offered a show spot. Say yes or no. Almost always they say yes. And then they're in a show, which is a lot of short form, maybe a little bit of long form in there.
How long is a short form skit, just so my audience knows?
Yeah, it could be, where do these two work? Oh, they work at Planet Fitness. Okay, great. Boom. And it could be a 2-minute scene. It could be 1 minute. It could be 3 minutes. But it's, they're hysterical. And they create these characters with rich points of view and something's going on today. So anyway, so that's one type of show. Another show will incorporate short and long form. Like I said, the extreme long form is an hour and a half, all of one mystery. That's kind of the extreme of long form. But a lot of our shows, we will interview audience members. We interview 3 of them, one at a time. So I might interview you, and while the main company's on stage listening to your answers, I'm not asking for jokes. I'm not needing you to be funny. I just want you to be yourself. And I ask you questions like I'm going to ask you right now. So what was the first car that you drove?
Oh, wow. I think it was my dad's Acura.
Great. So now I'm clocking that. So are the improvisers, right? So we're clocking. And if I'm the one interviewing, I might say, did he gift that card to you? Did you just share it with him? How did it come about that you got your dad's Acura?
I was just sharing it with him, yeah.
And did you ever get any accidents with?
No, it was pretty clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
That's a British soccer terminology when a goalie gets a shutout.
Okay, clean sheet. So we will clock all that, right? We're listening to every answer you give. Single, married, divorced, what's happening?
Parents were divorced, dad remarried.
Okay, great. And so I talk about dynamics of your life, maybe your career, and then we would put your life on stage.
Oh, wow.
Or and we would completely improvise your life. And it's really, really funny, right? That's all done respectfully and, of course, with good humor. So we do that with 3 different audience members. So anyway, so there's shows, and then beyond that, we have, I mentioned that sometimes some big improv names will drop by and play with us. Mindy Sterling's a good friend of ours. Wayne Brady has dropped in with us several times. Jonathan Mangum's a dear friend of Improv for the People. Annie Sertich. So it's always fun when they drop in. And then we have Improv Camp. Once a year, we take over a bunch of cabins in the woods, about 3 hours out of LA, and we do Improv Camp. And
that sounds like the perfect kind of backdrop to a horror movie.
We've lost a few members over there.
That's exactly the sound.
Because how people are going to sign up.
I'll make sure this comes out after people sign up for the camp.
Right. It's next year.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, so we have Improv Camp. It's it.
We've only lost 7 people in 4 years, but we're doing okay.
We have fun. Boy, we have fun.
Don't forget your insurance.
Liability, health, life. So there's that. It's all adults. We don't take any kids at IFTP, not yet. We might have a youth program, but we don't now. And it's not going to happen in the near future if it does.
I think improv is probably the best comedic bedrock of education you could probably get if you want to perform live in front of people.
There's nothing better.
Yeah.
Nothing better. I'm also a stand-up comedian. So sometimes stand-up comics will talk to me about both art forms. And I say, if you're just interested in improv, then just do improv, right? Then go for it. Do your thing. But if you're a stand-up comic, you should also just have a an ongoing improv class in your life somewhere, because there's nothing better to get us present and in the moment with an audience. There's so much joy when a comedian is in, like we say, is in the room.
And not just going by memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. We got to get through our material and make it look fresh and fun, like it's the first time we're performing it and all that. And that's part of the art. That's all. But man, if something happens in that room, you don't want to be the comic that misses it. Right?
Yeah. And so much stuff happens in the moment live, like all the great crowd work, someone's laughing uncontrollably or someone says all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be able to grab it and pull a minute or two out of it and really kind of bring the audience back into your fold. Yeah. That's the best.
Yep, it is. Plus classes are just a shitload of fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so much fun.
So your improv, We the People, improv for the people. Sorry about that.
The people is the Constitution.
We the People. I knew that was from somewhere.
Learning our Constitution
before it gets burned. Improv for the people. So you have a physical site here.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful theater.
Where's that?
It's in West LA on Pico Boulevard.
Okay.
So it's, West LA, free parking after 6 p.m. That's always a selling point, isn't it?
That's the only reason why people come to my podcast.
Yeah. You have great parking. By the way, did I need a parking pass in my car?
No, you're okay. Until after 7.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. That never happens in this.
Yeah, no, this is a great street. So after 7, it's all residential, but before that, it's pretty much unlimited. And then on like Tuesdays, they do they sweep the streets, so they just ask everyone to park on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
But I don't drive, or I walk everywhere around here. Like I don't drive in LA, so
you have a car?
No, not really. Like I rent one when I need one.
Right.
Yeah.
Uber.
Yeah, it's easy actually. Like that's the other thing about trying to live central is just because I've never really owned a car. Like I've never had to drive. Like I lived in Dubai for a lot of years, and then I was in China for many years, and driving in China was crazy. But yeah, being driven was always the better or safer option.
Yeah, and if you're not in your car a lot, then
yeah, I mean it goes in other ways, but
right.
But it's not too bad. But at least you save a little bit of time, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's speaking of, I think I'm going to marry your world and my world for just 1 second.
Do it.
So several summers ago, I think it was 2017. Guess where I went to teach him?
Toronto, Canada. No, but that's where I'm from.
I know. That's one thing about Canadians. You always find a time to promote your country.
We try. There's not a lot of good things going on these days, but if I can bring up some happy improv story, then we're doing okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. I've been to several places in Canada. I really like Montreal.
Montreal is by far the most fun city in Canada.
Really?
Mm.
Oh, I love it. I want to go back.
The most beautiful city in Canada by far is Quebec City. It has all the ancient charms of Europe. The architecture there is spectacular.
Yeah.
And Montreal is definitely the best party fun town.
Okay, party fun town. But you still haven't guessed where I went to do improv. You're never going to guess. I'm going to slowly give you clues.
Is there a Toronto improv?
Oh, I'm sure.
Is there improv for the people in Toronto? Have you expanded?
We need to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Really?
One of your listeners, if you're in Toronto and you want to start IFTP Toronto, go to our website and click contact. That'll go to my desk and we'll talk.
My cousin loves acting and loves improv and struggles to find places in Toronto to do it. And actually, he wants to come down here to hang out with me, see the groundlings. I can introduce him to what you're doing. He might already know it. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But he would. I mean, he's a doctor. He's pretty busy, but
he can leave his career.
That's the conversation I want to have with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can leave his doctoring.
Yeah. And his parents are still alive, and they would come down on me pretty hard for getting wife, kids, and give it all up for improv.
I did.
I know, but so few people make it work. Just the fact that you're here 16 years later standing on 2 feet is amazing.
Just in fact that I got out of my fucking bed this morning is shocking. Listen, I'm 38.
I'm 23, so it's amazing.
He's shocking. So I'm going to give you clues.
I think we use the same gray beard paint.
You're doing fine. You got hair. Look at you. You're just bragging.
I'm not, man. Just trying to
schlep in here. Good Lord. Doing the best I can.
Fuck, where are we? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you clues, and you're gonna guess where I taught improv. Okay.
Improv in Canada.
No, Africa.
Africa.
Okay, so that's clue number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a guess?
A country in Africa.
Yes.
South Africa.
No.
Tanzania.
No. So Central Africa. That's my next clue.
The Central African Republic?
That's not even.
The Congo?
No, but close.
Chad?
No.
I can keep going, but
All right. It's tiny. I went years ago for about, I think, 10 days to teach improv in Burundi.
oh shit, Burundi, nice. Yeah, Rwanda is right next to Burundi. Yeah. Yeah, just south of Uganda.
Burundi is about as big as this desk, and it was really an incredible, life-giving week and a half for me. And so I went there to work with a nonprofit to help them with their English skills,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fantastic. And shout out to Burundi Friends International, the nonprofit that brought me in. Julie Marner was the one that made it all happen. So on my way, my last day there, I was called and I got to go to the United States Embassy and sit with our ambassador like this
Mm-hmm.
and talk about our experience.
That's wonderful.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. The only thing more wonderful than that was working with these young people and people of all ages. They were so wonderful and so game and interested in what we had to offer. I don't know. It was fantastic.
I think Burundi and Rwanda have obviously gone through terrible things in their past.
Hell.
Yeah, and I think that having the chance to lighten up with improv and have this kind of comedy and have this kind of live performance experience would probably be incredibly healing to people who have suffered so much trauma.
That's right. And I don't pretend to know all the dynamics of what's gone on in Burundi over the years, but I know that they've had their share of war and fighting. I think things are calm now. I'm right about that. But one time there's like a big group of us doing some improv, and one of the people pulled me aside. There are like 50 people in a circle doing some fun improv at the Spacework Ball, right? And one of the Burundians pulled me aside and said, I don't know that you know what's happening right now. And I said, what? She goes, we're all smiling and laughing, and there are people from different tribes, and we're all getting along and collaborating. And this woman was crying because you have no idea what's happening right now.
That doesn't even happen in this country.
I always say, and I guess it's a little grandiose to say it, but maybe it's even a little silly, but if world leaders got together and did improv together, a lot of things would shift for the good.
Mm-hmm.
So
those are people who don't smile enough.
Honestly. Yeah, there's some tough stuff.
Absolutely. But I think, like you said, at the next G8 or G20 meeting or whatever, if they all got together and spent an hour doing improv, I'm sure the world would be a better place.
Let's do it. I believe it.
I believe it too.
I'm going to do a little yes and exercise with Putin. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Be amazing.
How's your prime minister doing?
I don't know. There's just so much nepotism going on in Canada these days. Having a prime minister that's also a Trudeau. Obviously, his father was the prime minister in the late 60s, early 70s. There's just a lot going on now, and he's been around forever. Canada really turned me off. Actually, I had a very unique experience in 2020 March with the whole COVID lockdowns and stuff like that. Like I kind of got stuck in Ethiopia because I was filming in Ethiopia, and then I couldn't get back to my home in Dubai where I was a legal resident and a property owner, but they blocked me from going back, and I didn't want to come back to Canada because I haven't lived in Canada since 2001, so there's nothing for me here or in North America. So I ended up in Turkey for like 4 months, like just hanging out, doing nothing, and then getting out of COVID, and getting back into Europe and doing some filming in the summer of 2020 was amazing. But then the second lockdown came and really screwed my whole production company. So my production company went bankrupt, but I had to let everyone go, which was a huge shit show. But the thing that really bothered me is like how these wonderful liberal democracies became like uniquely fascist, like the Canadians and the Australians and the New Zealanders to an extent. New Zealand just closed their own borders and no one cared because it's New Zealand. But I have a friend in Melbourne who was locked in his house for like 8 months.
Oh my.
And Canada was just as bad. Canada didn't allow people to travel in between states. So there's a thing in the Constitution where it says like the federal government will never stop the movement of civilians within their own country. And then, of course, the moment COVID hits, it's like you're not allowed to cross. You have to quarantine if you cross that state provincial line. Like the United States was so open. If I was in the U.S. when COVID hit, life would have been fine. But being international, being abroad, watching all these countries fight over, oh, your COVID restrictions aren't strong enough, we're going to block anyone who comes from your country into our. And it was just this tit for tat bullshit. And it happened, and it just shut down all film and global film and television production for like 2.5 years.
What a mess.
Yeah.
How do you recover?
I'm still trying. Yeah. And mentally and emotionally, it's been fucking shocking.
Yeah.
Just how disgusting the world can get because I only needed one thing to be like busy and happy at work, and that was just free and open travel. And that worked for a couple centuries.
Yeah. And it got ripped away from you.
Yeah, which was frustrating. So I still have like PTSD about getting stuck in Ethiopia. Nothing like, oh, there's anything wrong with Ethiopia. Our guides were amazing. The people were amazing. They did fall into civil war about 2 weeks after we left the country. They used the COVID collapse to have a civil war. Myanmar did the same thing. They had a civil war in 2022. Yeah, once all the foreigners leave, you guys can just wreck the show.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a mess. I just now feel, we were just talking about this the other day. I just now feel like the studio the Improv for the People is just starting to get back on its feet after all this time.
Yeah.
Right?
It's been a mess.
Steamy mess.
I can count on one hand how many times I've been to the movie theater in like the last like year and a half.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's just shifted how we live, you know?
And it's created patterns in our lives that most people aren't interested in changing back to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's at a huge disadvantage because I feel like there's a lot of unhealthy habits that we all picked up during COVID. Maybe you're eating too much shit. Maybe you're not exercising enough. Maybe you're drinking too much. Like these are all things that were like COVID. This is what we're doing.
Right.
You know, having cocktails at noon. But fucking 3 years later, if you're still having cocktails at noon, it's a problem.
It is.
The present company excluded. But
You like a day drink on occasion.
yeah,
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
The one good thing that came, so maybe some few good things came out of COVID. I don't know, but one of them is the outdoor restaurants. You know how you turn your parking lot into part of the restaurant. I still think that's kind of cool.
I missed all of that.
Yeah, you weren't here.
Yeah, that was a thing though.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool, and see how creative restaurant owners got and management. I thought that was, and they're still doing it, which I think is that's kind of cool.
I know some people here in LA were doing like stand up outside in parking lots as well. Yeah.
Oh, we would do stand up on a roof. We would do it in a parking lot. We would do it, anywhere we could. It was crazy. It was.
How did your studio, how did your improv school make it through? Like, what you must have had at least 6 months of full lockdown. Yeah.
Probably like even 13 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So some of our membership structure is a little bit different than most in that we are month to month, like a gym membership. So, you can't charge people to take an improv class when you don't have an improv class because of COVID.
And then the revenue stops.
That's the phrase I'm looking for. You're broke. Yeah. There were a handful of members that continued. They said, no, we'll just keep paying. Because they were able to keep their jobs or whatever. I know who they are, and I will never forget them. So that helped.
They deserve medals of honor.
They absolutely do. Honestly.
Yeah.
And
people who were that selfless with their capital and being able to basically donate to keep your place open.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what they did, and I know who they are.
And amazing.
Yeah. And others may have done it too, but they couldn't because of their finance. I mean, I get it. So that helped. And then we did some online Zoom fun classes. Improv doesn't work online. I don't care who says, oh, we're taking an improv class. It's from London, but I can take it. It doesn't work. It's not enjoyable. Whatever. Maybe it is for some people. For me, it was living hell. So we didn't do too much of that. But we started doing scripted work. Like we would take scripts from plays and work them. And that kind of was better than nothing.
Yeah, like a Zoom table read is pretty common.
It's like a Zoom table read, yeah. So that was kind of okay. That was kind of cool. But by and large, I lived for that $600 check. It's like, I need that check, So it's a time that I don't wish on any of us ever again.
So 16 years ago when you decided to go down this path of improv, like how did you decide how much time you were going to spend on stand-up comedy and how much time you were going to spend on improv? Like, is that even a conscious decision?
No, the studio kind of dictated that. The creation of improv for the people and the upkeep of it kind of dictated that. It's pretty time consuming. I wish I did more stand up. I do my fair share. I do my share.
We're just enunciating for the first time today.
Enunciating. Yeah. I love stand up. I want to do more. So, but I'm out there. But the studio is, and then to add the companies that bring us in for trainings and team building and corporate shows, that's another big thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty busy place, which is great.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. How hard is it to go into, like, let's just pick like a random Fortune 500 company that's out there, like Microsoft.
Okay.
Don't sue us, Microsoft.
Yeah.
So let's say Microsoft calls you up and is like, okay, we want you guys to come in and take our Microsoft employees and do like an improv workshop. Like, how does that even work?
And I do a lot of that. Microsoft is not a client of ours, but I would like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we have big clients. You get to go on our website. You go to improvyourteam.com. It's a shameless plug. You'll see some of our client list. It's pretty impressive. I'm going to brag a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, it's typically 90 minutes of me with it's 26 accountants from Amazon, whatever. And, these people are accountants. They're lawyers. They're salespeople, whatever their job is, but probably they're not improvisers. And here I come in.
Some of them might have just wicked sense of humor.
Absolutely. By and large, the work that we do with these teams is really, really successful and fun. Always. And sometimes they're nervous. And I just put it out there. Listen, you're not here to be funny. You're not here to be a comedian. Nobody wants you to be an actor. Just be yourself. Well, we're going to learn I don't want to get more secrets.
No. But the first thing you do is just be like, don't quit your day job.
Yeah. It's the first thing I say. Keep what you have here.
Yeah. This is going to be your bedrock.
Just stay right where you are. But we have a blast. We use the fundamentals of improv to increase communication skills and collaboration skills. And, plus it just gives them a chance to see each other in a different light. It humanizes everybody. It's a great experience.
That's good. Yeah.
It takes somebody savvy, though. It takes somebody savvy in the company to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we want to do a team builder with improv. Because it's a terrible cold call. I can't call up Microsoft, say, hey, you want to do an improv? They're like, we're not funny.
I heard an interview with Bill Gates the other day. He was very funny. Yeah. He has a new Netflix show where he was cracking some jokes. So that's that's the line that I brought to you. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. He's got a new Netflix series out where he's like talking about the future through Bill Gates' eyes.
I saw that just like yesterday. I saw the blurb about that.
It's very interesting. There's very few people on the planet who have been through as many technological changes as he has. Yeah. So his vision of what's going to happen next, right or wrong, is useful in some context. So
I should listen to it.
Yeah.
As he has a good wasn't that where he's talking about how AI is the most significant,
That's one episode. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But he's got other episodes on there. They talk about influenza and vaccines, which is obviously a little bit controversial. And then they talk about, other software developments and chip developments. But he sees everything in like a real 360-degree kind of way, the way that a lot of other people might not, just because of his experience and his age. As he gets older, he's, he put personal computers in everyone's homes. Yeah, you can love him or hate him, but he's worth listening to from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. I realize I put my glass here, and then I'm thinking, if you're editing, should I have just left the glass here? Because this is going to drive you crazy when you go to edit.
I don't edit at all.
Oh, yeah, you said that earlier.
I live edit, so that's how I flip back and forth between us. Yeah. And then I don't edit at all. Like if you go to the bathroom or something, I'll edit it out. That happens from time to time.
Yeah.
I had one young man come in here and we talked a little bit too much about religion, and then afterwards he didn't feel too comfortable about it, so I just clipped that bit. So I'll do it from time to time, but I just love this live rambling. Yeah. It's just energy.
Are you suggesting that I've been rambling? Is that
I'm the rambler?
Oh, you're the rambler.
Yeah.
They used to call that, maybe they still do, live to tape. Heard that phrase?
I have, yeah.
You've been in the business long enough to hear that. To have heard that tape.
Yeah.
That tape, that phrase.
I wanted to be a radio DJ ever since I saw Robin Williams do Good Morning Vietnam.
Really? Oh, so you were old.
I am old.
Yeah, you're not. You said you were 20-something earlier.
But that movie, like that comedically, that movie like changed my whole life. Like, and then
He was brilliant.
he was brilliant. Yeah. But he just looked like he was having so much fun. And you know what the best part about that was? Is they filmed all of his sequences. I talked about this last week or the week before on a podcast too. They filmed all of the sequences where he was doing the radio DJ disc jockey work with no live audience, right? It was just a film studio, like a sound stage. And when the movie wrapped, he was watching it and he goes, I can't watch myself. This is fucking terrible. And he goes, let's do all my scenes again, but we need to bring in a live audience.
People. He needed that energy.
He needed the improv because he's the improv king.
Right.
And he brought in a live audience and it just amped up everything.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love stories like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Do you ever see him like on the Tonight Show or whatever else? I mean, it just isn't. It's incredible to watch.
You know, my favorite story about him is, okay, so he did probably one of the most incredible stand-up performances of all time called Robin Williams Live at the Met in New York City, right? And he had this producer that was with him for the 6 months before that show. So he went and toured his set, you know, and at that time it was about an hour 10. And he was touring the set all around the country, just tweaking it, making sure that people in different parts of the country accepted all these different things as all these guys do. And then he filmed at the Met, and the producer that was with him was blown away because he did 2.5 hours live at the Met. And on any one night, he'd only done 70 minutes, and half the material the producer who was there had never heard before. So when you think about improv, like to go live and tape your stand-up and do half of it off the cuff, I mean, just brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. That's I've never performed at the Met, but still young.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Do you feel that?
Well, I think if we just got off our heads on coke like everyone was back in the 80s, I could come up with a good 2 hours, 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I've been in the green room at the Comedy Store more than once, and the things that have been on that mirrored table, and sure.
Absolutely. That place is iconic.
Yeah. Do you go over there ever?
I do. I love going. I try to go like once a month on a Thursday or Friday. Yeah. I've seen Marin there. I've seen Rogan there. I've seen Jesselnick there. I've seen, I've seen John Mulaney there.
Right.
So I've had a really good, I love that. It's an institution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so it's funny, like you built your own house, so to speak, for your improv career to practice the thing you love the most, which is improv, and then also teach people. So you've got your whole passions there. But when you're thinking about doing stand-up, do you also do it at your improv studio, or do you take it elsewhere?
We do have a stand-up show at the theaters. It's unrelated to Improv for the People. It's called the Pico Live. And so, yeah, I'll host it. I'll do a set, and then I love to host, so I'll do my set and then bring other comedians on. We do that several times throughout the year. I'd like to do it more often. And I also am the host of the Matthew Moore Show, which is kind of a talk show format.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll come on and just stand up, and then I will bring guests on, maybe other comedians, singers, guitarists, jugglers, whatever. And then I have them sit down and I interview them, and then we play a word game, and then we say goodnight.
That sounds fun too.
Yeah.
Any time where you get to like interact with people and just play, isn't it the best?
Yes. It's the and it's a 3-camera. We do a 3-camera shoot now because my buddy has the equipment, and so we do that.
That's great.
It's broadcast live on YouTube. So my sister in Indiana and my sister in Michigan watch. I think they're the only two that watch.
Well, that's good. Maybe my mom will start watching soon. She's the only one that listens to this.
She's in Toronto. What's her name?
Mary Lou.
It's Mary Lou's single.
Mary Lou is single. She's a divorcee. She just relocated to Canada after like traveling the world for years.
Why?
Well, this is the thing. Like, so with you, yeah, partly with me. But so during COVID, my mom was stuck in this 1-bedroom apartment, you know, kind of in the suburbs of Toronto, and they were telling her not to go out, and they were telling her she had to stay at home, and she was just, and to go through it, like, you know, coming from Indiana or people who are from the northern part of the United States and Canada, like doing a winter indoors in Canada, not being able to get out of your house, go for a walk, go to the store, that's isolating and terrible.
Yeah.
And then Europe opened up to Canadians in like August or September 2020. And I managed to get out of Turkey, and I was filming in Europe. And I flew my mom over, and she was part of my film crew for a few months just to get her out. I think so, yeah, for sure.
Going nuts.
And then after that, I was like, don't go back to Canada because they're still locking people down. So then she came back to Dubai with me, and then she was in Dubai living for a while, and then she came over to Europe when I went back in the summer because Dubai's too hot in the summer to stay there. So it's crazy. But she just finally moved back to Toronto, so she's getting like resettled after this like 4 or 5 year hiccup. I think she did, yeah. And she was still like healthy enough and fit enough to get out and walk and see everything. So it was good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope someone is good to me when I'm a little older.
Yeah. You got to take care of your mom.
Well, my mom's dead, so
my condolences.
Thank you. Yeah. My mom was great. My dad is gone too, but they didn't ask my permission to die because I
hell no
would have liked to have them around. But that's the way it goes.
Do you miss Indiana at all?
In some ways, yes. I'm glad I grew up there. I think it's a great place. Yeah, I had a great childhood.
Midwestern values. Yeah,
I have some issues with some things now. Looking back as an adult, but at the time, I had the best parents in the world, and it's the kind of thing where you go out and play, and nobody locked their doors, and come home when the streetlights come out. All that kind of thing.
Yeah, right? It was the best, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You'd have a stick and a rock, and you could play with the neighborhood kids all damn day long with that stuff. So, and that's great for kids' imagination and all that stuff. So, yeah, there are a lot of great things about growing up in Indiana. I love living in LA. It's the right city for me. I love being here. I have no desire to live back in Indiana or the Midwest, but I certainly have good friends and family there, and it's always good to go back maybe in the holidays to visit. But I have issues with the politics of Indiana, and some other, maybe that's for a different podcast. But
don't you think we should just round up all the politicians and slap them around a little bit?
All but one.
All but one.
I don't want to mention her name, but all but one.
Yeah. I still think we can round them all up.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do better. All right.
You know what the funny thing is the funny thing is watching the United States melt from a distance. So like sitting in Dubai in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and just watching the United States consistently punch itself in the face was beautiful. I thought, I need to live there.
Here you are.
And here I am.
But we have better days ahead of us.
Absolutely. I hope so, right?
It can't get any I shouldn't say that. It could get worse. It's not going to.
My dad used to have this like super successful like Super Bowl party, and like everyone would come over to his place, and like, he'd have a big barbecue and he'd host everyone. And then something happened around like 2016, 2017. I can't remember what it was, but everything just became political. And he had to shut down his Super Bowl party because people were arguing about politics at the game, and it was ridiculous. And he's like, I can't have all these arguing people in my house.
That's not fun.
No,
it's a real divisive time, and
it's good for improv though, right? Elections?
Yeah, for stand-up. Yeah, totally. For improv, we kind of avoid, at least in our studio, we avoid some of that stuff. But for stand-up, God, it's a gift.
Yeah. These fuckers just going out on platforms and saying crazy shit. I love it though, because like by next week, none of us are going to ever pay taxes ever again.
Oh, you think?
Tax cuts for overtime, tax cuts for dividends, tax cuts for...
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, you don't pay taxes. You're Canadian. You live here for free, and you live off my dollar.
I have to pay tax on any money I make in the United States.
Okay, that's
fine. Yeah. But this doesn't really, generate at the moment.
This gonna go. You have a big following.
Thank you. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. How long have you had your YouTube channel?
So I've had my YouTube channel since like 2005 or 6 when YouTube first came out. I was an early adopter.
The first one.
Yeah, but I didn't do anything with it for like 20 years.
Okay. So then you got serious about it.
Well, then because I always thought like you couldn't generate money on YouTube. That wasn't the way it was created, right? Like, so I was like, well, if I'm going to make TV, I need to find a broadcaster. and not a digital broadcaster because they weren't alive then either. So I needed to find a linear or like a traditional television broadcaster. So you find Travel Channel, you find Discovery Channel, Nat Geo.
Right.
And then these were like my first round of partners and things like that. And then all of a sudden, like all these young people started, then YouTube came out with their partners program where you can actually generate revenue.
Right. When was this?
So I feel like this was like maybe 2016, 17.
Okay.
But by this time, I didn't even think of YouTube because I was so busy making, like I was traveling like 300 days a year making TV in 2016, 17, 18, and 19, that I didn't even have the time to stop and think.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and then all these YouTubers just took off because they were able to still make content, or they were able to make it on their own time, or they were able to make content locally where then they didn't have to travel. Yeah. And there I was sitting in Dubai like, holy shit, if I can't travel on 4 continents and make 8 episodes, then BBC doesn't want anything I do. And I can't just make 1 episode because they need 8. Like everyone needs volume, right? But if you're a YouTuber, you can just go out and make 1 episode at a time and no one cares. And you can even have a different sponsor for each episode. So this huge wave of like YouTubers just came through in like just before COVID and then all through COVID. And now YouTube's paying out $6 billion a year to creators.
Is that right?
Yeah.
More than half of that's to you.
Half of that's to me. I'm getting $3 billion a year from YouTube. Yeah. I got lunch, by the way. I got lunch. I'm okay. Yeah. Steve Ballmer's going to sell the Clippers to me too. I'm working on that deal with him. Yeah.
Close.
I think
be into next week.
Next week for sure.
Next week for sure. Yeah. I was going to tell you something about all that YouTube stuff. YouTube is a client in Profit the People.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah.
We just did a training with them last week. They were super fun.
Do you guys live stream your events?
No, but I think you and I should talk about that.
Yeah.
We should work together on a project.
I would love that.
Okay, I'm serious.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We're both people trying to do creative and innovating things.
We're doing it.
Well, we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah. Did you get this at IKEA? These blue.
I got everything in this podcast studio so I was watching this guy on YouTube tell me how he set up his podcast studio. And he had Amazon links to all the things in his studio.
You had that too.
Yeah, yeah. And then I just bought everything that he put in his studio, and then I just put it together.
Yeah, and I don't mean to. I mean to. The viewer needs to know the list is really nice.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's really very, very. And does it turn on, or is this just a prop?
No, it's just on and off. Yeah, just it's to let the thing with that light is it's great because I can look. So this is the live screen here.
Yeah.
And but when I'm on you, which I am now, I can see the on air sign in the corner, so I don't need to look and take my attention away from you. So I can still look at you.
Right.
I don't have to break eye contact.
Because, does your viewer know that you are switching back and forth? Maybe I shouldn't give away the secret.
No, I mean, I tell them all the time. And I tell every guest before we start. And the audience knows what I do, but they can't see that I have this like little board here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the, can I touch a button?
You can touch this.
Which one?
Cut
that one?
Yeah. And now we're back on me. See? There you go.
Oh,
But it saves me a ton of time because I can cut the post-production time massively without having to edit afterwards. Yeah. And there's only maybe like in a 1 or 1.5 hour podcast, maybe there's only like 2 or 3 times where I like make a mistake, but then we film on all 3 cameras. So then I can recut and just edit like those 1 or 2 mistakes that I make.
So what's your turnaround time for like this episode? So I can tell my sisters.
If I, your episode will probably come out at the end of October. So I do backlist a few episodes because I do go traveling and I still do like some filming from time to time. So they're like, I was away for 3 weeks, for example, and I still had my podcast come out every Tuesday, Thursday.
Fantastic.
So I was able to have some guests that didn't have anything too timely going on. And I just said, hey guys, this will come out a little bit later. So I do that. So not every podcast I do is super topical, but then one of my good friends, he's a photographer, and he went to the Republican National Convention and shot it for a magazine. And he also did the Democratic one too. But
wonderful.
But then he, when he came in to talk about that, we put it out right away because it was timely.
Yes, of course. Now, given that this is going to land, drop, as the kids say,
drop.
End of October, I think it's only fitting that I share a Halloween comedy bit.
I would love that.
Want to go as for Halloween?
No.
What are you going to go like this year?
I'm not going out for Halloween.
You don't go out for Halloween?
No, I put a sign on my door saying no one's home.
That's terrible.
Is it?
The rich little kids of Beverly Hills deserve full-size Snicker bar from Mr. Fancy Ryan.
Well, aren't they just going to sue you afterwards if they find... Isn't Pyle's like a hemorrhoids thing or something? It's just Pyle without an S.
Yes, they're going to sue you if you stick a razor blade in it.
Yeah. No Gomer jokes, though. I had a lot of that when I was a kid. Gomer Pyle, the actor in the military, the whole thing. Yeah. I got a lot of that when I was a kid.
You did? So that's okay. I don't see it. Whatever. My costume is gay Billy Bob Thornton.
That's a great costume.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
From Sling Blade?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a hottie.
He's the best.
Yeah, I was an extra in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that movie.
Oh, wow.
I was a kid. And that's when Angelina Jolie was married to Billy Bob Thornton. And the other extra guys during the break should say, because my scene was with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a construction worker that got dragged out of a burning building and she stepped over me. So we had to do several takes. And all the straight guys were, I assume most of them, you're the luckiest guy in the world, because I could just lay there and she would step over me.
Yeah.
She smelled very good. Her perfume was lovely. But my point is, they would say, her husband looks just like you. Maybe you've got a shot.
There you go.
Didn't work out.
So, okay, so we skipped over this whole chapter of your life. How long have you been acting for?
Oh, yeah, I do. No, I act. I do. I'd like to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of short films. I've written some short films. But I'm not the actor that comes in here with a big IMDb list. I am on IMDb.
That's good.
Matthew Moore, number 5.
I'm Ryan Pyle, number 2.
There's another one?
Yeah, there was a professional snowboarder, I think, named Ryan Pyle, and he had a credit in a movie sometime before I got into my career.
Okay. It's spelled the same way as you?
I believe so, yeah.
So he's number 1.
He's number 1, so I'm Ryan Pyle, number 2. Yeah.
Makes sense.
We're going to take him out, though.
Get him to improv camp.
You know what? Someone wrote me just a couple of weeks ago on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now, and his name's Ryan Pyle, and he wants to come and be on my podcast so we can be 2 Ryan Pyles talking to each other.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to do. And if you invite me, you'll be 2 Ryan Pyles and 1 more.
There we go.
Because that's...
Yeah, Matthew Moore. I got you. I got you.
Did. That's highbrow comedy.
That's highbrow comedy. Yeah.
Comedy right there.
Yeah. Cue the laughter.
Do you have a laugh track in here?
I do on this one, but I need to set it up. I used to have it, and I think I tried it once, and I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good."
No, I think I have that one at our theater.
Yeah. So this one manages all the audio. It's just a roadie, and I can have up to like 5 or 6 microphones and manage it all, and then also have like laugh tracks or other kind of sounds on these pads. And then this one over here does all the camera work, and then it links it all together and saves it on this. So when we're done, I just pick up this little hard drive and I walk, and then I can do my edits out there.
Who are you?
Just a guy who's a little too bored.
Living on the border of West Hollywood and Beverly Hills. Can I give out your home address?
No, that's not helpful. Don't dox me, please. I like so much not going outside and like having no one know what's going on.
Yeah. That's I would never do that.
Thank you though.
But you live in a great area.
It's so nice because you can coming from all these cities that I've lived in previously where I didn't need a car to get around.
Yeah.
Moving to LA, being in a part of town where I could walk everywhere was super important.
Everyone has told you need a car when you live in LA.
Yeah. And that you're going to be driving like an hour a day everywhere in every direction. And then I was like, well, how do I avoid that? Well, the best way to do it is to set up the studio here, right?
Yeah.
But then you have guests coming over to your house all the time, but it's fine. I have plenty of whiskey. They love coming over.
If I didn't have to work tonight, seriously, I would have I'd have one now. Have you ever had a guest have a drink while they're doing the podcast?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of my friends, David, he works for Glenn Fiddick, William. So he came over and he brought like an 18-year-old bottle of Glenn Fiddick, and we just drank it while we were talking. We went for like 3 hours. The last half hour, it got messy. But the first 2 hours and 30 minutes, we were right on.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah, I like a good, I think maybe, I like wine. I like a nice wine on occasion. This is not exciting for your listener.
No, I think it's important. Like, I've always been a whiskey guy. So, like, when I first got into whiskey, it was really good. And I love the fact that it's like 3 times distilled. There's really no additives and preservatives. The sugar count is really low. The calorie count is really low.
Yep.
You know, I can have a couple of them and it just burns clean. It feels pretty good. I mean, it hits you hard. The alcohol content is significant.
Yeah.
But it burns clean. Like the biggest problem is like tequila and all these other drinks when you don't drink them straight and you start adding mixers. And this is the problem. Like having like 8 tequilas and Coke, having 8 tequilas is not a problem. Having 8 tequilas and Coke is the problem.
All that sugar and all that stuff.
Not that you want to go out and have 8 drinks every night, but I'm just using that as an example.
I do like a good margarita.
There you go.
I know. I'm going to give you a hot tip.
Okay.
I know where you can get the best margarita in LA.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I hope I don't lose friends. I have some friends who own restaurants.
Do tell.
I'm going to tell you where it is. It's in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Main Street, and it's a restaurant called Lula's. Lula's on Main Street. I tell you, it's the Lula margarita. So what's going to happen is you're going to order one because that handsome man, I saw those 2 handsome men on that podcast, and the bald one said, go to Lula's and have a margarita.
Yeah. And the hairy one said, go to Lula's and get the margarita too.
The hairy one.
Wait. Hairy one said, really?
Yeah.
And
you. I'm jealous. And it's going to come in a juice glass that's half of this size. And you can think, oh, what is this? This is disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Jesus. You will love that drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lula's.
And I know the secret is, I don't want to give away. I know the secret to why they're so good, but I'll tell you when we go off air.
Okay. I hope so. Yeah.
They're really good.
I don't get to Santa Monica too often because it's on the other side of the highway.
You can have a car. You can take the,
there's a bus that goes right along Santa Monica.
Yeah, take the bus.
Yeah.
You've been to
I've been to Santa Monica. I love public transportation. I lived in Switzerland off and on for 2 years. I took the train and the trams everywhere. I loved it. LA's a little different, but they're trying to upgrade for the Olympics. I'm trying to get someone from the LA Tourism Bureau on to tell me like what they're doing exactly for the Olympics.
So you have to make that happen.
I have to make everything happen. I have no producer working with me. I do this all by myself. I do all the posts by myself. I invite all my guests by myself.
Yeah.
And to keep in touch with them by myself. So I do everything by myself.
And you're very organized. This is what I want to say about it. I think I am too.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
And sincerely, you put everything together. You respect the time of your guests.
That's the most important thing.
You know, we're all busy people.
Absolutely.
It's very thorough and comprehensive. You click here, you show up here. This is where you're going to be. I'll meet you here. And you follow up, and that's very nice.
Yeah, you got to.
You have to.
Yeah. I've had a few guests that like weren't good by email.
Mm.
And then like they're emailing one thing and texting something else. And then like you send out a calendar invite, but they don't accept it or know what it is or what's going on. And then, you know, they come at the wrong time or they ask, you know, to cancel. And then the next day I'm like, hey, are you still coming today? I've had that happen like 2 or 3 times out of like 97.
Okay. So it's a pretty good track record.
Yeah. It's mostly because of them, I think.
100%. Let's get those guys to improv camp.
It's tough though, but I love it. And when someone gives me 2 hours of their day, it's quite an honor.
Yeah, to be here.
Yeah,
this is one of those things where this is why I live in this town, to do this kind of thing.
That's right, isn't it?
Yes, and I appreciated the invitation.
You can't come to LA and not like meet everyone and talk to everyone, or you can't come here and just hide. Like you got to get out.
You got to get out.
Yeah.
That's one thing about living in Santa Monica, as wonderful as that town is. It is at the end of the world. Right,
literally, it's on the ocean.
It's at the end of the world there, and it takes a while to get in here to do anything. For me in my career, that's always been a little challenge for me.
Yeah,
but that's where I am.
Yeah, crossing the 405 is a bitch.
Oh, it's a bitch.
Yeah,
it is. So,
but Century City's quite close because your place is on Pico, right?
It's on Pico. Do you know where the Rancho Park golf course is?
No.
Just say yes.
Yes, I know. Rancho, I was there last Sunday.
We're right there. I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, just go off. Yeah. I got tissue there because sometimes it gets emotional. No, I had for example, I had a woman on a couple of weeks ago whose daughter was killed through gun violence at Venice Beach. Yeah. That was tough, actually, because normally everything's very light and fun, and then you have a guest on, and you know you have to try to understand those issues. Yeah, I think she's become a real. I think she's become a real spokesperson for gun violence in LA, and Cortland's her name. I think it was episode number 85 or 87, and if anyone wants to watch it, it's out. But yeah, she lost her 21 or 22-year-old daughter to gun violence just like just killed in Venice Beach, in daylight hours. She rented a scooter, and apparently the kid who was renting the scooters didn't charge the scooters, so they got out, but they couldn't come back. So they ended up having to walk them back, and then they were arguing about some refund. And then the kid might have been part of a gang, and then the guy that she was with might have also been part of a gang. And then one kid called some friends to stop or alleviate the argument that was going on, and then one thing led to another, and then guns were pulled. It's ridiculous on Venice Beach. I mean, come on, like right on the boardwalk. Yeah, so it's so sometimes the conversations do get serious. Like I've had a bunch of people in here talk about life after death and experience of losing loved ones, which has been great. Like I just try to have a whole range of people.
Yeah. I'm probably your favorite guest.
This is the most I've laughed in a long time, but I don't want to take away from any of my other hilarious guests.
No, I've seen some of your guests.
But the improv is coming through on this podcast.
Shining a light on the improv.
Yeah.
You're going to come to some of our shows?
I'd like that, actually. Yeah. I'm going to sign up with your mailing list, get on your socials, and just try to stay in touch with what's going on and see if I can swing by sometime.
Yeah, anytime. I'd love to have you.
So, I mean, going back to Indiana is not an option. You love living in LA. It's your vibe. It's your place, which is great. You've got a business here now. You're doing exactly what you love. I mean, do you see yourself like ever trying to tour the country, like with your improv or with your stand-up, or are you just happy to be working here in LA?
I travel a bit already with improv for the people with the corporate trainings, and so I really enjoy that. I did a training in Paris last summer, and so that is that's good. As far as stand-up, I don't know. I think I'll just be in LA and perform here, and I certainly enjoy performing in New York. But I don't know that I'll do the college tour. First of all, I'm older than maybe I should have done it a long time ago, but that wasn't the path of my life. So I don't know about that, but I'm going to Vegas tomorrow for Improv for the People.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I get my travel fix that way, and I meet the coolest people. You know that when you travel, you meet really great people. So I'm pretty good with where things are. I always like to see the studio grow, but we have a motto at IFTP: we are slow and steady. That is my approach to business. It has always been my approach to business. That's slow and steady. We don't need to be the biggest improv studio in LA. I don't want to be the biggest. I'm a little bit biased. I think we're the best. I know we're the best, but we are slow and steady, and that's just fine.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the safest way, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You start trying to ramp up and do all kinds of crazy things, then you get caught out.
Yeah. Yeah. Things start to, things get diluted, and just nice, slow and steady.
Mm-hmm. So what do you have coming up for the next 6 months? Like what's the end of the year look like for you? What does early 2025 look like for you? Like anything exciting that you want to talk about?
Let's see. I went to the Caribbean last week, so I'm going to include that.
You dropped that in your email.
I know I did. I told you. I had to tell you. I didn't even know you. Like, Ryan needs to know I'm in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That was a joke. It was true. But
it's very funny. Yeah. Yeah. You went there in the middle of a fucking hurricane.
Yeah, I get there just in time. I got there had I left the next day, I would have, and that thing.
I started in a 5-star hotel. I finished in a tent, and I came back to LA, and I'm back in a tent. Sorry.
Who's the fucking comedian here?
Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. So so we have IFTP classes and shows. We have our Improv Spooktacular at the end of the month. A bunch of shows all in one weekend. We have Improv Camp. I've got stand-up shows here and there. I've got corporate trainings here and there. I've got some corporate shows lined up. And then that gets me to December. And then on December 23rd, everything is done. And then the studio's dark to like January 5th or something like that. And that's when I just kind of collapse. You really do.
Getting to the end of the year is a bitch.
It is. Yeah. It is. And, I need that. We all need that break at the end of the year. So I don't know what I'm doing at the end of the year, but.
You're walking across Death Valley with me.
When do I need to let you know? November.
Now. On air. On the spot.
Do you take Van now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go to Death Valley unless there's a Fairmont there. Is there a Fairmont in Death Valley?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I can get you like an extra large tent.
I'm in. What are you drinking?
So I started brewing this at home. I'll get you one. It's hibiscus tea.
Oh, nice.
And what I do is I buy hibiscus tea leaves in bulk, and then I cook them, and like I make like hot tea.
Yep.
And then I put them in these cold bottles, and I cool it, and I drink it like a juice drink or something.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because hibiscus tea has a lot of antitoxins, vitamins, minerals, and almost no calories. So drinking that has got me off of all the fizzy drinks I used to drink, off of all the Gatorades and the vitamin waters I used to drink.
Yeah.
And it is even having me actually drinking way less alcohol.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there caffeine? No.
No caffeine. It's just tea leaves and water.
That's good.
And it's amazing. I'll get you one before you head out. Yeah.
A little vodka in that. Get something nice.
So there you go. I can hit up. I should figure out get Diageo to buy it for like $1 billion.
Who?
Diageo,
Who's that?
the world's largest liquor and alcohol company. No, they bought up George Clooney's alcohol company and Ryan Reynolds. They took a stake in those two actors, Casamigos and Aviation Gin.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't know that. As you know, I like a beverage on occasion.
Why not, right? I mean, how often are you working at Improv for the People? Like how many nights a week?
Yep. So I'm definitely there Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Saturday mornings, and then usually we have some sort of show, workshop, jam going on the weekend. So I'm there.
Yeah.
I Friday night, Thursdays and Fridays can be kind of like something. I might have a stand-up show. I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
Is my point. I need a break.
Performing is exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it, but yeah, for me, it's because it's a whole body experience. It's a mental thing. It's a physical thing. You got to be aware of what's going on at all times. It's exhausting.
I love that though, isn't it? Like the great thing about it is, and I get some of that adrenaline and I get some of those endorphins by doing this podcast.
I bet.
But it's because like you're on,
Yeah.
and you have to be all cylinders go. Like I can't invite you here and be half asleep.
No.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of all the tech stuff and no, I get it.
Yeah.
But I love it. I wouldn't change it. But I used to call my dad and tell him, I just did a set at the Comedy Store or whatever. And I was saying I'm exhausted, right? And I'd say a set at the Comedy Store anywhere was more exhausting than 10 hours at a hotel. It's just completely draining.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that's one of my cats out there.
Yeah.
It never comes through the door on the mics though. It's pretty good.
Oh, so I shouldn't have brought it up.
It's okay.
Just-
You could...
Really, nobody hears that?
No, it doesn't come.
Cat is in distress.
No, he's just asking for something. Well, I'll get it to him when you're almost out of here. We'll be fine.
I've been kicked out of better places. What time is it? How long have I been talking to you?
1 hour 27 minutes and 52 seconds, and we got about 5 minutes till your hard stop.
Oh,
Yeah, I like letting everyone just know that you're fucking out. You're doing improv tonight.
I'm doing improv tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you came over. You gave me the privilege of warming you up before you go to improv, and I love that.
They are going to be so grateful that I'm coming in all warmed,
Hot and ready to go.
hot,
Yeah.
hot and ready. Who's your favorite comedian?
My favorite comedian, I think my favorite comedian performing these days is, I would have to say, I love John Mulaney in his turn as a drug addict and being open about it.
Yeah.
So I loved Mulaney in the early days, but he was too Boy Scoutish. And now that he's got this like drug problem and rehab thing behind him and he loves talking about it.
And his thing when he talks about being in rehab, I'm really worried that they're going to recognize when the worst thing happened. They didn't.
Yeah, and there's like a newspaper or a book. Yeah, he's like, hey, you guys haven't. So his baby J hour is brilliant.
So funny.
Yeah.
I have to see all of it.
Yeah.
So you like Mulaney?
I love Mulaney. I love Anthony Jeselnik. I think he just like goes out and does these one-liners, and they're just ridiculous and dark, and people just love him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is funny.
It's great how he's like carved out a niche where his audience expects the worst.
and they can't get in that club fence.
Like just dropping babies. Like he does hours on just dropping babies. I love it. And I love Ronnie Chen, the Malaysian Singaporean comedian who's on The Daily Show as well.
Oh yes.
He's had two great series on Netflix. But I love him because he brings this international perspective to life in America, which I have, not from Asia, but I did live in China for 18 years. But I'm not Asian, so. But he comes to America and his realizations are fucking amazing. Like the best. Can I give you one of his lines? He's like, he was talking about being canceled, right, and cancel culture, and he goes, "I'm not afraid of you fuckers. You guys can cancel me anytime." He goes, "You know what?" He goes, "I left 3 countries with no guns and free healthcare to come to America." He goes, "When I came to America, I came here prepared to fucking die." He goes, "You can't scare me with trying to cancel me."
I love it.
I love him too. But I watch, like, honestly, like if there's a new comedy special out, I will absolutely watch it. I don't care. Nikki Glazer's hilarious. Rogan did the live one. Chappelle's a legend. Adam Sandler just came out with another one. I love the way he infuses music and video, and he always has a beautiful song about Farley. Chris Farley, you know, one of my, obviously everyone comedic hero. But no, I love all that.
Yeah, good.
What about you? Who's your favorite?
Michelle Buteau is a dear friend of mine, and also
He's fucking funny.
Yeah, Michelle is funny is on the list for sure. But if you listen to her comedy, she is always has a message. She's always a fighter of human rights, and you know, I think highly of her. And let's see, I like Chris Fleming.
Okay, I've heard of Chris Fleming.
Oh yeah, bizarre. God, he's a wordsmith. He's fantastic. He's surprising at every turn. His physicality is great.
How do you prepare for your stand-up? Like, do you write the whole thing out, or do you just have buzzwords that keep you in the game?
It's changed over my time of doing it. So I used to write it out word for word, and I would memorize them motherfucking set because I was just afraid of forgetting.
George Carlin did that right up until his death.
Is that right?
Yeah. Someone told me he wrote up every set word for word.
Every single word. Yeah, I used to do that. He had a pretty good career, didn't he?
He had a pretty good career. He'd be fucking amazing if he was still alive right now.
Yeah, oh, he would.
He'd be tearing down these fourth walls like he did.
Yeah, so now it's I'd like to do bullet points. Like I'll have my set list, you know, as bullet points. Of course, I write them out maybe once or twice, and then I memorize them. But I'm always I just
it happens. It happens.
It's an amateur move.
It's okay.
But now I don't want to like to be so married to the script.
Yeah.
Right. I just want bullet points so I can be in the room.
It's an improv.
Yeah, that's kind of what I know what I have to hit. I know what word has to land where and all that for it to hit. But beyond that, I try to be a little bit more loose with it. So that's my process.
I think that's great because you have to leave space for the funny to walk in the room.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see, up and comers and I get it. They are so married to their set that they're missing out on what's going on around them. There's no judgment. There's no judgment for me on that. But, as we get a little bit more seasoned, you got to be in that room.
Yeah. Spoken like a true improv practitioner.
Just tired and
fucking exhausted with his shit
and grizzled and whatever else. But make a bullet list. Don't memorize everything word for word.
No, it's a little helpful.
You cut that out.
Keep that in. All right, we got a hard stop coming up soon. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out, or is this?
I really enjoyed this, Ryan Pyle, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Matt, thank you. Come back anytime.
I'd love to.
And now we just go up here to number 4, which is this wide camera, so everyone can see we're in the same fucking room.
Wait. Oh, we shake hands.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And watch this. Fade to black. And we're out.